Mhm. Welcome, beloveds. We are going to join in light, and we're going to look at a desire with Jesus.
Oh no.
We are
going to. What is it that I need to do here?
We're going to mute the YouTube.
Mute YouTube?
Uh-huh.
Oh, so up here someplace or where? Just go in and mute. Oh, I'll have to figure out how to get back there. Okay, well, okay.
So we were here, we were hearing to continue with the desire we've been looking at the last couple evenings, and that's the desire to feel controlled by the ego and to feel helpless to the ego.
Yeah, I'm hearing this joke. It's, I guess I should ask if it's spirit, but it's like, okay, this is part 26. We are still looking at the desire to feel
sticking with it.
by the ego
until it is completely clear. Yeah, Jesus, please show us the relishing of this. Because I was hearing yes, and there was more energy, so and I feel like there's more to release. He was reminding me of wanting it to work, wanting to make it work. And beating a dead horse was another expression.
I know he's reminded us before, reminded me before, not only the last 2 nights, but another lookings at this desire that I love being run by the ego. I think that's quite the show. He's giving me some image of like a runaway train being controlled by the ego, and the train is just like taking off with no engineer, no stopping it. It's like it's the only game in town. It seems like it when I'm, being run by the ego. It seems like the only game in town because I'm ignoring whatever spirit's trying to tell me. And it's also, what I'm also hearing is that I think being run by the ego is some big circus or, some big appearance and form. And I'm hearing no, that it can be very subtle. I can think I'm just, spiritual and saying the right things, and the ego's running the show.
Like what I hear is I'll try anything once, at least. Mm. Are you hearing release or holding?
I don't know. I'm still in the relishing of it.
Just we'll do a light check and
The deeper I allow myself to go in the relishing, the more it seems to be released. It's not, doesn't usually happen just like that. I really, really want to be with it.
I was just hearing like we want to just see if there's holding. We just want to to check in and just see, okay, am I holding this? Am I holding on this?
I admit the desire.
Yeah.
I relish letting my ego run the show, or being run by the ego, controlled by the ego.
Yeah, I think this is kind of similar to what I was hearing before, and it's coming back in of like I can outdo God. I can outsmart, outsmart God or end run the light.
Hmm. I'm hearing that anytime I'm not checking in with the light, then I'm letting the ego run the show. and I forget to check in with the light, or I go on automatic pilot or whatever. I think I know, oh, I know how to do this. I don't need anybody's help.
Yeah, I was hearing something similar, like the I got this idea. And I hear like being controlled by the ego is not wanting to look.
So you're saying you don't want to look? Is that what you're hearing about yourself?
Well, I hear release right now, like that this is releasing, but I have the desire. It's releasing that.
Yeah, your sound is a little splattered.
Like,
Yeah, I'm not.
It's just that desire is not wanting to really look.
So you're talking, I guess what I'm wanting to hear is that's your experience. You're speaking your experience that you're hearing from Jesus. Because what you just said was like a statement or whatever, but it's like that's your experience of being when you're controlled by the ego. I don't want to look, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like an I, well, the way I heard it was just, it's just not wanting to look. It's just not wanting to look.
I just don't want to look. I statement, because what we're doing is talking about ourselves, not just a generality. That's what I'm hearing. That's why I jumped on it right away. It's like, eh. I'm hearing that I don't want to look when I feel run by the ego. That's sure true here.
Yeah, I hear yes on that. I don't want to look. It's like I would do anything anything other than look. That's kind of how
Yeah.
it comes through, is like I would rather die than look. I don't want to look. And yeah,
So I relish feeling controlled by the ego.
mhm.
what I'm hearing is that being controlled by the ego's voice leaves me feeling anxious, like I'm always having to evaluate and judge and make choices. And it's there's like a constant sense of anxiety, low level at sometimes, and sometimes very high level.
Are you, we just see what's underneath that?
Yeah, somehow it's relishing all that anyway, relishing the ego running the show, even though there's that anxiety going on.
Uh-huh. Yeah, we could ask, like, what's the value of this? There's more to see, is what I hear.
Well, I think this last night or night before, autonomy is one of the values. Feeling autonomous from God, from everybody else. What are you hearing about a value?
I was hearing like intelligence.
Intelligence?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Uh,
Can you, what else are you hearing about that?
mm, like proof. It's like a oh, like justice is what I was hearing, like intelligence, proof, and justice.
About being controlled by the ego.
Yeah. Like those are like aspects of power.
Yeah.
What I consider valuable is like power.
Seems like being controlled by the ego, I feel at war all the time. It's below my level of awareness. I have to really look at it. It's like I'm at war with everything to prove that I'm powerful or something.
Yeah, and I still that aspect that we are looking at as well of feeling helpless comes in a lot, where I just see how much I relish that, the experience of feeling helpless. So like there's a power outside of me. Or there's a power outside.
That I have no control.
Yeah, it's just but I've been hearing, there's a willingness to see that it doesn't work and that I'm confused about power. Like I can see that it's not, he's been showing me that it doesn't work and that I can't get power through being controlled by the ego or feeling helpless. Yet there's still some holding of that, some
I think sometimes these turn into concepts. We can kind of get it intellectually, but in terms of really living it,
yeah. Yeah, it's because I want to hold on to that. I want to hold on to that, the feeling helpless.
Oh,
I want that more than God. I want feeling helpless more than God. And I want the choice as well. I think there's pleasure, there's something to be gotten from that.
Hmm.
It seems like there's more I there's more to see as far as that I value the value I'm placing on feeling helpless.
There's really not wanting to acknowledge what God tells us how he created us, that we are so powerful. There's really not wanting to see that at all. Yeah, what I'm hearing is that if I'm powerless to the ego, then I don't have to be responsible for anything. And I don't, that's too much work anyway, to be responsible for my mind.
I hear we can do the light check. Let's do a light check. It's like pleasure in being hard on myself.
But
Pleasure in being hard on myself, being controlled by the ego.
yeah, pleasure is a value.
Yes.
A positive. Being hard on myself is a negative. Pleasure and pain. They seem like opposites.
Yeah, he's bringing me back to seeing that it doesn't work. Am I willing to, are we releasing or holding right now, I guess is the question to ask.
It feels like there's releasing going on. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
There's still some holding. It's very subtle. At least it seems like it is. I'm so used to it, I don't recognize it.
Huh.
What I've heard a couple times is that the ego wants me to believe that being controlled by the ego is really a benign thing. It's no big deal. It doesn't really, it's just out for fun and pleasure and distraction.
Yeah, what do you hear from Jesus on that?
On what?
About that it's benign.
Oh, that I way underestimate its deviousness.
Mhm. What I hear is this is this is controlled by the ego is getting pleasure out of pain.
Hmm. So where, how does that, what is Jesus telling you about that applying in your life?
I think it's heaven
Yeah, but I mean
to
specifically.
be controlled by the ego. To feel helpless is really,
Yeah, those still
yeah,
sound like concepts. It doesn't
like,
sound like something real about it.
well, it's all pain, all pain.
It doesn't feel all pain. That's, I get the concept. I kind of get the concept, but in the honesty of God about pleasure and pain, they don't feel like the same.
Well, and it's just that there's what I do is I do a light check and then I just see the contrast between the light, and anything that's not the light is falls into that category of of the choice. And so he's just showing me how much pleasure I get out of pain, that seems natural.
Well, I'm hearing two things. One is that we're not here to, we're here to look at the relishing of the desire, and until we see how much we really want it. But if we're talking about comparing it to the light, that comes with the miracle. But when we go deep, when I go deep here, I'm not looking at the light, I'm looking at the dark and how much I relish it. And then secondly, if we get pleasure out of pain, that sounds all nice and conceptual, but give me some reality here. Give me something that sounds real. That doesn't sound real. It sounds like something out of a book. When I, stub my toe, I really get pleasure out of that. It feels like pain, but I really get something real. An experience that we're seeing in our own experience. So can you give me a specific?
Mm-hmm. What I hear is being hard on myself.
It feels painful, but it's somehow there's pleasure in it.
Yeah, to be hard on myself.
Yeah, what I was hearing is when somebody gets upset with me, it feels painful, but there's somehow some relishing of that.
Uh-huh. Yeah, even I hear rejection or disagreement. If it seems like someone's rejecting or disagreeing.
There's pain, it's painful. Yeah.
Right. But it's actually pleasure. There's pleasure in that.
Yeah, I'm not clear through the woods on that one. I don't particularly see pleasure in having somebody upset with me or whatever. Feeling upset with myself doesn't feel like pleasure. Feels quite the opposite. It really goes deep to see the golem in it. I'm not there with that. Well, it feels lighter, feels looser.
I was muted.
What's that?
Yeah, I was saying there's gratitude for looking.
So Jesus, where are we with this desire to feel controlled by the ego? It feels lighter, however, it's not gone. Not all gone. It feels complete for now.
Yeah.
Round number 4.
Mhm. Okay, thank you, Mary. Thank you,
Thank you.
ladies,
Thank you.
for joining us.
Very useful.
Yes.
Yeah. Gratitude for the willingness to look.